Yo, this is Dr. Cheap This Sunflower back with another video. What's up, you guys? So, it has been a weird couple days, and as you can see from the title of this broadcast, we will be discussing something that I saw very strange on my timeline. It kind of just crept into the mix. Okay? So, happy belated Mother's Day to all who are mothers, or not daughters. If you celebrated Mother's Day yesterday, happy belated Mother's Day to you. I was on this 365-day consistency challenge, y'all, and guess what? I did not show up yesterday because I do not handle Mother's Day very well. It is a day that brings me sadness. I miss my mom so much, so I thought I could conquer consistency over feeling depressed yesterday, but I couldn't do it. So I did not show up. But one thing I realized is that when you deal with depression and things like that, sometimes you have to listen to your body, protect your mind and your spirit. So I took the day off just to soak in my sadness, missing my mommy of 30 plus years, and not really being a fan of Mother's Day, not at all. So as you can see from the title, hello, Supreme, what's up? It's a weird title that we're talking about today. Yeah, I've been seeing up and down my timeline this white fatigue versus black fatigue. And at first it caught me off guard. So I'm like, what are we talking about now? But before we get into all of that, this economy, this president, I needed a break from all of that talk too, because it can get to be too much. So drop in the chat and let me know how y'all feeling. How did you like the Boondocks video Husky Dog 88 made? It was a cool video. I watched it a couple days ago. But yeah, like I said, these past 2 days just been really hard on Dr. Shon. But only because I made a commitment to be consistent, even though I didn't show up yesterday. So technically I kind of failed my mission. But I don't count it as a failure, even though it technically is a failure. Should I start over? Should I start over on day 1 of 365? I don't know. But either way, I'm back with another live video. Against my pissy mood, against my, feelings of just missing my mom during these times. So white fatigue versus black fatigue. When I first saw this go across my timeline, my Niiji, Asio to my Niiji out there, Asio to all mankind, melanated people, or just if you just a kind person and you are for equality and for what's right, then Asio to you too. Alright? But my Niiji, I need y'all in the room, I need y'all in the room. So I was on, strolling YouTube, and I've been trying not to really pay attention to the politics, because the politics have just been politicking. They have just been doing a little bit too much. And I really felt like Donald Trump and all of his allies in the White House were playing games with us. So I felt like, because he was saying, oh, make sure you buy stock right now while the stock market's tanking, and he's doing a lot of things that just really pisses me off. Can we just be honest? He's doing a lot of things that's pissing a lot of people off, but it's really pissing me off because, I feel like he's just playing with people at this point. I feel like he's just playing with Americans and doing what the hell he wants. And nobody can stop this 34-time felon. Nobody can impeach him. Nobody can do anything. So people have been talking about white fatigue versus black fatigue. And when I saw it on my timeline, I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, people, they come up with new stuff every day. And I don't know if this is a new term, but to me, I'm like, what is that? So basically, let's go so I can tell y'all exactly what it is. Because, Well, it's kind of what we have been talking about as Niiji for a long, long time. So there is actually information on these two terms. So I want to go over what they are and get into it because I have a lot to say about it. But first, I want to make sure everybody knows what it means because it's something that has just been popping up on my timeline repeatedly, which means this is a trending topic. This is what people are interested in knowing. And even though these are subjects that are very, very touchy-feeling, on the Hood to Hooded podcast, we go from the hood, which is down, inequality, suppression, all these different things, to hooded, meaning we go to an elevated state of mind, regardless of the difficult conversations we have to have as Niiji and as colonizers and as anything else. Like, we have to have these deep conversations, which is why I feel like these two words are popping up right now. Their systems are dying because we are rising. Period. Systems are dying. That's all I've been seeing on my timeline. The American government is falling. I talked about this a couple days, but I was so involved with it that I had to back off because it was just a little too much for me. But now I'm back on it because, you see, this is what we at. So, if you don't know what white fatigue versus black fatigue is, this is what it is. So I'll start out with black fatigue. So black fatigue definition, coined and detailed by Mary Frances Winters in her book, Black Fatigue, How Racism Erodes the Mind, Body, and Spirit. Black fatigue refers to the chronic physical and emotional exhaustion experienced by black people and other racialized groups due to lifetime of navigating systemic racism. Symptoms of black fatigue. So this is a real thing. Number 1, mental exhaustion from constantly dealing with microaggressions, racial profiling, code switching, and erasure. We've been talking about this for a minute on here. Health impacts. Now, health impacts from black fatigue. It leads to high blood pressure, anxiety, PTSD, and other stress-related illnesses. Okay? Generational trauma, because we talk about generational curses. So this is a highly relevant topic. Generational trauma passed through families who've endured oppression, segregation, and systemic violence, such as George Floyd, such as Robert Brooks, such as Trayvon Martin. The list goes on and on and on. Burnout from resistance, fighting racism daily in the workplace, schools, public life, etc. And this starts when you are a child. Black fatigue starts when you are a child. They start breaking down your mental intelligence from the moment you step foot on the school grounds. I'm a victim of that. I'm a victim of being melanated, copper tone in the school system, teaching that this is somebody that we are supposed to hate. This is somebody that is dumb, that's not going to make it anywhere, and we're going to stress them the hell out if we can. We're going to oppress them as much as we can. We're going to teach our little young girls and young boys to hate this skin color. We're going to teach them to just pick on it and bully it and make them feel like they're, what? 3/4 of a human. Black fatigue. We still talking about that. Now, it says, it's not that we are not resilient. We're just tired of having to be resilient every damn day. This is a black elder testimony. Do y'all understand? It's like you just get tired of having to do too much all the time to fight the system, and they put it into a way where it seems normal. They keep doing things that seem normal. I know y'all seen that Donald Trump he did something where South Africans are now, white South Africans are now citizens of the United States. And guess what? They're going to come over here and get more benefits, more assistance, more aids than the people who are indigenous to this land. They're going to come over here and be able to get their cavities filled. They're going to come over here and be able to do a lot more than we can do on our own land and still be oppressed and spit in the face like that. Like, what? White fatigue. Now, this is going to blow your mind. We have all the information internally to move forward. And I truly, truly believe that it's internally in our DNA, the information we need to move forward. So white fatigue. What is white fatigue? White fatigue is the discomfort or disengagement white people, especially those newly exposed to anti-racism work, may feel when they realize the depth of systemic racism, often leading to defensiveness, denial, and retreat. This was coined by Dr. Joseph Flynn. It represents a form of emotional shutdown when racial justice conversations challenge white comfort or white privilege. Symptoms of white fatigue: saying I'm tired of talking about race, or not everything is about race. Yet and still, when the kids go to school on Monday, you're teaching them a colonized history. You're teaching them that George Washington, who owned over 80 enslaved people who he had kidnapped on the dollar bill, was a hero and a leader. You're going to teach him that Andrew Jackson, who was on the $20 bill, was a hero when he went to my people, to the Choctaw, to the Muskogee, to the Creek, to all these people and unalived people, and took the land. You're going to teach them that Christopher Columbus founded America, which had millions of indigenous melanated copper tone people here. You're going to teach these lies, but yet say, oh, everything's not about race. You're going to let the white African American, the white South Africans come over here and get full benefits while the people over here are suffering, going homeless, starving, working 2 and 3 jobs just to pay taxes, just so you can bring people over here. But yet, you're so tired of talking about race. You know, it's a lot of things that we could go on about this. I'm getting ahead of myself. All right? Other symptoms of white fatigue: becoming overwhelmed or annoyed by calls for accountability or equity. Now, this is the part that pisses me off. Choosing silence or apathy instead of ongoing allyship. Feeling attacked during discussions of privilege, even when not personally targeted. Okay? Now, this thing breaks down the key differences between the two. So black fatigue is oppression and survival. White fatigue is discomfort and fragility. Okay? Black fatigue results in racism every day. White fatigue racism is learning about racism and privilege. So they don't want to learn about the privilege, learn about racism. They just want to benefit off of the people who are oppressed and not talk about it. Okay? So we're going to pause right there. And I want to just dig into these two concepts about black fatigue and white fatigue and what is the difference. And from a doctor's perspective, I've seen a lot of this in my lifetime. How black fatigue stems from history. It stems from history. And it stems from our educational system. It stems from the church. It stems from jail. And it stems from politics. Now, the thing about black fatigue is we're still going through things that oppress us every fucking day. Every day. Every day. I often talk about my hometown, Tallahassee, Florida, where, you know, you go there and there's cops on every corner. They're going to stalk you. They're going to harass you. You can't even live a normal life. And the issue with that is the people in cities where there's a overly, heavily police presence, especially in the Niiji or copper tone melanated communities, then these are going to lead people to unconsciously feeling depressed, feeling PTSD, because you remember the cop behind you, it raises your blood pressure. Now you stressing about things you can't even control because this is all a part of the system, right? And it's truly sad. It is truly sad. What else can I say about black fatigue and why we as Niiji continue to not stay silent, not to allow white supremacy not to allow it to be so comfortable? Because I feel like people who promote white supremacy, like the MAGA nuts, like the Make America Great Again people, like Donald Trump, they use white supremacy, and they have since the beginning of time, as a weapon. They use it as a weapon. So when it comes to nowadays, when we're still facing generational curses, even as a a medical provider, even as a dentist, I still experience racial discrimination. It doesn't matter about a degree. It's all about the skin color. That's what they taught, white versus black. And this is the founding fabrics of the United States. So I'm not talking about Niiji. I'm talking about since this land was colonized, right? So I do a lot of research. I do a lot of digging, and I was just interested to know, like, how all of this began. How did they just, like, do all of these things that made people believe in a system built on hate, evil, unaliving, kidnapping, rape, massacres? Because the history is so horrendous, it's so embarrassing, it creates white fatigue. Because it's like, dang, please don't remind me of what my ancestors did. That wasn't me, that was them. Can't you just forget it? Even though white privilege still exists to this day, probably 100% fold, and it just gets worse and worse and worse, right? So it creates white fatigue. They don't want to hear about it. It's like, my ancestors did it, not me. And it's hard to say that when the people who are still the leaders, just like Andrew Jackson, remember I said he unalived people. He's on the $20 bill. George Washington had enslaved people on stolen land, and he's on the money. So when you talk about white fatigue, imagine us having to look at these faces every day when we go and pay these bills, go and pay taxes. Who we looking at? It's subliminal, but these are the faces we see on the money. These are the faces that we see on the TV. These are the faces that white supremacists put everywhere to say, hey, we're better than you, you're nothing, we're going to tell you who you are, we're going to teach you who you are, and you should feel bad about who you are because we brought you here. And it's just a completely false fucking narrative. Let's keep going. The key is you have to grieve the fear of your death to manipulate the codes. The key is you have to grieve the fear of your death to manipulate the codes. Tell me what you mean by that. Break that down for me. So, I was going and I was looking up the presidents because, you know, me, I'm all about going back to know the truth. That's what I'm about. So I'm all about going back to find out the real truth, because it has been so much pseudo history, so much false history that has been weaved together to create the politics of this country, to create the books, the schools, the jails. All this stuff has been built off of Puritan, white supremacy, you know, take, murder, kill type of energy. And this is why they're fatigued, because it was so much unaliving going on. So much creating of documents and falsifying and treason and all these different things going on to create what people believe is real nowadays. So they like, damn, we don't want to talk about it no more, but you never even talked about it. How could you be fatigued from something that you never discussed, that you still try to cover up, that you still don't want to talk about, that you don't even feel sorry about? You just want us to be quiet and comfortable, settling for being less than who we are, for being in a false identity, for not being in our true identity, for being just Christians, for being, you know, Bible-toting saints. You want us to just stay stuck and lost. My Niiji, we gotta be honest. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. So I'm looking up, you know, George Washington. I'm like, dang, well, let's start with the first fucking president. What was he about? Because we already know he owned this, that, But what I found out was that a lot of the presidents had to go to schools like Harvard and Yale And here I was thinking, okay, one day I want to go get my master's degree from Harvard because, you know, it's Harvard. So let's get into Harvard. Harvard early years was deeply rooted in Puritan religious ideas, right? Modeled after England's Cambridge and Oxford universities. So what was the purpose of Harvard in the 1600s after they came to Jamestown in 1620 or something like that? They colonized the area. Then they started putting in institutions. So they created Harvard 20 years after they were settled. Okay? And it was to train Puritan ministers. Harvard now. This is colonizers, people who came over here, unalived the Niiji, unalived our ancestors, took a piece of the land, started a colony. And a colony is like, you get one and then it just builds and it just spreads. Whether it's a good or bad thing, it spreads, right? So their whole mission at Harvard was to train Puritan ministers and provide a learned clergy for Massachusetts Bay Colony, which is one of the first colonies. Okay, it was to ensure that the future leaders of the colony, which would be a lot of y'all presidents, the George Washingtons, the Andrew Jacksons, the Thomas Jeffersons, all of these people, Abraham Lincoln, they had to go through these programs, through these schools, right? To even have the leadership position. To make sure they were educated and morally upright. Call themselves morally upright while doing all these evil fucking things. This is how delusion and psychopaths are, right? So what was the curriculum at Harvard. They studied classical education, Latin, Greek, Hebrew. They studied logic, rhetoric, ethics, theology, and philosophy. But the Bible was central to these presidents, to these colonizers, along with Aristotle, Cicero, and Augustine. It said they studied math, some natural philosophy were included, but religion was the dominant thing at Harvard. Now religion, now y'all got to pay attention to this. Religion. So typically when the presidents win and the people who was going to be the politicians who they would send up to be controlling the land and taking over the land, these people started as colonists. They started with a little piece of land that they had stolen, put up a fork, they put up a cross, they put up this, they unalived the people, they committed war, and then they said, okay, now we own this land. It wasn't given, it wasn't bought, it wasn't negotiated, it was stolen. So the president starting on stolen property, right? So the students who went to Harvard, which is some of the presidents, a lot of the presidents had to go through this process. They expected to live disciplined lives, attending daily chapel. So they went to church, talked to God about coming and stealing this land, adhering to strict moral code. All right. And then it says Harvard was founded 16 years after Pilgrims arrived in Plymouth in 1620. It was a part of a broader movement to create a godly society in New England where education was tied to religious instruction and social control. Literacy was highly valued by Puritans so people could read the Bible independently. So when you talk about the Niiji being Christian and reading the Bible, that's nothing to do with us. Even though it's a tricky subject because people get very sensitive about religion. But when I go back and I look at these presidents, these colonizers, Christopher Columbus, they worship the cross, they worship the Bible, they worship these things. And I just can't picture unalivers sharing the same religion as me. I just can't picture it. I can't picture it. They went to school to be priests and pastors, deacons. Yeah. How y'all feel about that? Folk fear death and or failure, so they stay in the program a lot. They stay in the programming. A lot are scared to think independently. Exactly. Do you hear what I just read about Harvard, how the presidents think? So school and the Bible or church were together. back in the day. They took the Bible out of church for some reason. The government did, and said you now y'all can go to church and read the Bible. But it talked about us being able to, or the presidents being able to read the Bible. It's just so focused on the Bible. When you coming over to steal the land and take the land, y'all focus on the Bible. All right, you're using religion as a way to suppress people, indigenous people, and assimilate them, and you know. So let's continue on because I'm just getting started, right? So the Puritans, I said, who were the Puritans? Because these are the people who created the politics, what we experiencing now, Donald Trump, all these history of presidents and Congress. They're the ones who came over here, wrote all this bullshit down, signed it, and acting like this was control the whole land, and now everybody on this land has to listen to them. Now, who gave y'all that permission? So when we talk about white fatigue, you got to go back and tell the truth and know what you did. And a lot of times, white supremacists, people who benefit from white privilege, don't want to go back to the history. They don't want to go back 400 years ago. They want to start today. And you can't fucking do that. Because a lot of the things that we are experiencing today are directly related to the way that you guys began over here. Directly related to the lies that have been told, the suppression that you have done, and the erasing of my ancestors, and giving me a false identity that I never even accepted. In some kind of way, it's now our identity. We don't have a nationality. We don't have nothing. And y'all want us to be like, okay, well, just stop talking. We're gonna stop talking about it. Y'all can just have the land and y'all can just do what you want. Hell no. What land do that work in? Maybe in the colonizer's mindset, because it's a little psycho. A lot of my people do believe, oh my God, we were slaves born on the boat and they got us fucked up right now. You're right. People can't think for themselves. They can't think for themselves. So the Puritans, let's get into the Puritans, because the name ain't so pure. Everything that you see is not what it is. And disclaimer for the people who like, oh my God, because some people like, oh my God, are you what did it say, a communist? No, I'm a realist. I'm a realist. And I was a Bible believer. I was a Christian. I was all of that, celebrating Christmas, holidays, all of this, until I did my reading. Because guess what, my Niiji? If you go through life always expecting the government to tell you the truth, you expecting them to do for you and to take care of you and to give you the Bible. If they gave you the Bible, why they won't give you your true history, baby? They want to feed you the Bible. They want to force you to go to church. But they can't tell you the importance of melanin. They're going to tell you that it's bad. But they're going to ban your history out of the school system and give you what they want to tell you. Come on, man. Wake up. Just please wake up. Just please wake up for a second. All right? We're going somewhere. So key facts about the Puritans. What did the Puritans believe? These were the people who were kicked out of Europe. They came over here looking for a new land, looking to just take over and, you know, do their thing, and just, they had guns. We had bow and arrows, like, you know. So it said the Puritans believed that the Bible was a supreme authority. Now, how the hell they believe that too? I thought the Bible was for us, black African Americans, to get us out of bondage and out of slavery. But they saying that the Bible is their supreme authority. Something ain't right in the water. It said, and they believe that every individual should read and interpret the Bible personally. So you mean the colonizers told us that we should read and interpret the Bible personally, and they gave us the Bible? And now we bigger Christians than them, and this is what they gave us? Impossible. It said predestination. They believed that God had already chosen who would be saved. This is what the colonizers believed. And they believed that they was going to be saved for unaliving the Niiji, the Choctaw, the Muscogee, the Creek, and all the other nationalities and nations that graced this land. All of our ancestors that were here, kicked out in every way possible. They believed that we wasn't going to be chosen. We wasn't chosen. This is what they believe now. Then it says moral discipline. So the presidents and all of the people who were going to this school, getting ready to be the politicians, they had a strict code of behavior, including modest dress. That's why you see them wearing suits with the red tie or the blue tie. No dancing and no idleness. So they couldn't worship nothing but the Bible. They believe in hard work. What they got us doing now? Working hard, thrift, being cheap, not having much. Yet Donald Trump just accepted this multi-million-dollar plane from another country. And they believe in education as a sign of godliness. All right? Now, it said, in the 1630s, many Puritans left England during the Great Migration to escape religious persecution. So y'all leaving the Great Migration, but when y'all had time to go leave from the Great Migration, and then y'all came over here during the Great Migration, and then y'all went to Africa and picked us up or something, it ain't enough motherfucking time. It ain't making sense. So this why y'all want to holler, oh, white fatigue. We tired of talking about it, because it don't take a rocket science to put two and two together to see the lies, to see the hate, to see the manipulation. Okay? Then it says during the Great Migration. So this is the 1630s. Now y'all had time to go there, then go to Africa, and come back. Listen, I read Christopher Columbus' journal. It takes months and months to get from Africa, and even when he came, he barely had no damn food. And even when the settlers came to Florida, to my home state, they didn't have no damn food. They was around here setting villages on fire, shooting when the people ran out, unaliving anything that ran out, and then whoever was left over, the women and the children, they enslaved them, impregnated them, made them carry their luggage, and went on to the next village and did the same thing. When y'all had time to go and get people from Africa again, I'm waiting. Let me know. All right? So the goal of the Puritans was to build a city upon a hill, a modern Christian society. If I could just drop the mic right now. They wanted to build a modern Christian society. What do we live in now? What do African Americans, black people, what is their staple? Christianity. Even though the churches was invented in the 1800s, they weren't around when our ancestors were here all the way back then. We definitely had spiritual connections. I'm still like trying to understand, because people say, okay, we were made in his image, so God is within us and we connected to the sun. I get all of that. I'm mostly spiritual, but I have a huge disconnect coming on when it talks about Christianity and the Bible and colonization. It's no way I'm like y'all. It's no fucking way that I can be like y'all. Factual. What's up, Doc? How many clean pulls did you score today? What's going on, guys? What's going on? No pullings today. Only saving teeth today. So, back to what we were saying. So Harvard in the 1636 was used to train the ministers and promote literacy so people could read the Bible. Okay, they built some of the first public schools so people could learn to read the Bible. They value education for both boys and girls, even though white boys and girls. But mostly they prioritize white boys. Who's leading this country right now? White boys. Not white boys behind the scenes, yeah. They just the ancestors of the white boys who was put through these programs, right? Now listen to this. When they back in the day, this is important, guys, because we oftentimes stay in the now. We stay in, well, okay, Donald Trump is doing this, he did this, he did that. But how is he able to do these things? It's because of the history. It's because we are not in our right identity. It's because we continue to call ourselves black. It's because we continue to participate and not know who we are. We continue to believe that we share the same Bible, the same religion as our colonizers. We continue to allow them to teach us what they want in school, ban our history. We continue to allow that. But how does this relate to the government that is controlling us right now, that is crumbling down, by the way? And I'm not mad about it. Trump doing some crazy stuff, and I'm not mad about it crumbling, because it was never supposed to be in charge of sovereign Niiji people. Never. Never. So I said, tell me more about the government and the society. So the colonizers believed in a theocratic society. Church and state were deeply intertwined. So back in the day, the church, the state, everything they put together was really, really connected. It wasn't disconnected how it is now. And it said only church members had political power. So you had to read the Bible. You had to be a white boy, go to these schools like Harvard, which was only for white boys, to have a political office. So that means if you were melanated of any kind, you automatically was counted out because they already knew this was your land and you could not vote. You couldn't participate if you are not a white boy that read the Bible, that went to Harvard or Yale. Now, are y'all twisting y'all head like me? Like, what? Wow. Wow. Just wow. So when we talk about just skipping over all these facts and all this history, so they started this in the 1600s, and every year they have every couple of years they have a new president, and they're talking about all these. So I'm gonna back up. Give me just a second, cause I cannot stop right here. I gotta keep going. Yeah, I gotta go to my backup, guys. Give me a second. Give me a second. Give me a second. Alrighty. Equipment because this is not cool, and I just started using this camera today. Let's see. So I have to go back to my old webcam. Give me just a second, because I really got to get into this. This is why I got to update my stuff. Because it's a little janky right now, man. What is going on? So I got this new, well, not a new camera, but I hooked my camcorder up. And it did say that the camera can cut off and overheat, which is exactly what it did. Exactly what it did. So now, oh man, okay guys, listen. There we go. Woof. All right. So one day I'll be able to afford to get all of the stuff. So that was not good. But back to the topic at hand. America has been racist since the 1600s. Exactly. It really has. It really has just been this way. And I don't think America started with colonization, white supremacy mindset, and what I just read about. This is how it started with the Bible, with them saying, okay, only we can vote in the politics. So that's when you go back to the pictures of the Supreme Court, all these people, they are colonizers. And for hundreds of years, they have been using the system to erase people, to control land, to be, so evil. And the evil is in all the documentation. So when you talk about white fatigue, it's like the grandkids of the people who benefit from white supremacy now, they don't want to talk about it. They're like, nah, well, we don't want to talk about it, get over it. But you can't get over something you never discuss. It's kind of like when you have a bad relationship, right? Say you have this man or woman who is abusive, whether it's verbally or physically, they just been abusive for the whole time. Like, you've been married 50 years, and out of the 50 years, they've been abusive for 49 years. Now you get to the last year, and they just like, listen, I don't want to talk about it, just forget about it. It's like, now I have to live with this trauma and pretend like it didn't happen and make you comfortable because you don't want to talk about the truth. And until this country heals, and I repeat this night after night until this country tells the truth instead of trying to cover up things and create more laws and not and make it more freedoms for the polices. And until they tell the truth, it's never going to heal. It's going to continue to crumble down because we know the truth. Regardless of how you say, well, no, just forget about it. We can't forget about it. It's in our DNA. The truth is here. How can you heal? This is why so many things are going on and people don't understand why they feel overworked, overstressed. They got to work 2 and 3 jobs because now all those lies has caught up with everybody. Everybody is feeling the impact of racism. So when people thought, oh my God, we're going to vote for Trump and it's going to make America great again, how could you make something great that was built off of sour ass seeds? It's never, remember, it's never going to produce sweet fruit. It's always going to produce fruit that it looks good, it sounds good, it talk good, but once you eat it, it's like, what the hell is this? It have no nutrients, it have no substance, and it just kill the land. It just kill your body. It says, sound like the government is trying to shut you down because of the information you're putting out. Conspiracy theory. One thing is for sure, Kamala Harris as president and Jasmine Crockett as VP, they will whip this country into shape. My mom showed me videos of Crockett in action. They don't have to talk about it. See, the thing is, I feel like anytime you have a government built on this system, regardless of who jumps in the house, it's never going to be right. Because it's still using the mindset of, okay, in order for us to have some sovereignty, we have to follow your rules, your laws, and it's just never going to be right. It's just never going to be right. And maybe I'm thinking like too far into the future where I see a world where we're back into our sovereignty. But I feel like right now we're still like prisoners of war where you can't talk about the history. They want to, make it seem like it's nothing. Play in your face. Take away your attire. Take away your everything. Take away the ability to get funding the same. For me, even though I'm a dentist and I came from the hood and I overcame poverty, for me to get a loan, for me to get funding for my office, it's a nightmare. You know what I mean? So a lot of times I'm like, dang, I'm going to fail. Not because of I had equal opportunity, but because of the systems in place from the 1600s still impacting us today. That's the generational curse. Thank you, government, for that. They don't have to talk about it. They should remember they can't block the sun all summer. Exactly. They this is why they're saying, oh, we're fatigued. But what about, I'm not fatigued from talking about what the hell we got going on. I'm never going to get fatigued because guess what? I just learned about it. I spent 40 years learning the information that the government told the schools to tell us. Participating in church, being forced to go to church, like this is like a force in the black household. It's like if you don't go to church, you're evil. If you don't read, being forced to do these things until I got to my own age and read the truth. It's like, wait. Something is not right. And I just can't listen to the government no more. Like I just can't. Like nothing whoever they put in, I feel like, you see what I read, how it started? These people have to be put in here. They have to go through certain standards to be there. They gotta know how to read the Bible. They gotta honor white supremacy in order to be in that position. It's like, hey, we're gonna put you here as the face, but behind the scenes you really don't have no rights. Now Trump, you see how he is the face and he's doing what the hell he want? Imagine Kamala in here trying to do this. It's not happening. So everything is by design, by plan. I thought America was supposed to be the land of the free and the home of the brave, but no, it's the land of enslaved and the home of the racist. Exactly. People who don't even want to stop doing this. Like, my thing is, America could move forward to something better if the government, if white supremacists realize, hey, what you're doing is killing the land. It's killing Niiji. It's killing the people. It's making everybody suffer. But until they just can't tell the truth. So they're making it this way. They're making it this way. That's why we can't be silent. That's why there's a battle. Oh, I'm fatigued. But who's telling the truth? Maybe we can get over this fatigueness if we start being truthful. Because when you tell the truth, like, even if you've been hiding something and you've been lying or something, it's like a heavy weight on your shoulder. You got to keep making up more lies to cover the last lie, to cover the lie from 400 years ago, to cover what this ancestor did, because there was no internet back then. So they was just writing everything down. They was just writing everything down, word for word, never expecting that our ancestors would invent the internet or that technology would be into place. So now with technology, there's colonization with technology. Trump tried to shut down TikTok. It's not about It's not about TikTok. It's about the information that's being transmitted across TikTok. Because on Facebook, you can't do that. Instagram, you can't do that. If you talk about these things, it's not going anywhere. But on TikTok, it was allowed to flourish. People began to wake up. Whether you white or black, people just waking up. Even I've seen white modern youth crying when they read these things that their ancestors did in the book, because they've been led to believe the same lie. So it don't just hurt us, it hurts the whole world. It hurts everybody when you lie. It hurts everybody when you sit here and try to act like you're the victim when you're doing the victimizing. It hurts everybody. The whole world saw 6, 7, 8 cops have a man handcuffed, unalive him while he's handcuffed, and nothing happened. It was no outrage. It wasn't like, oh my God. It's like behind the scenes, white supremacists like, yeah. They go home, they're like, yeah. You think that's cool? Some people think that's cool. Because guess what? They've been given the license to think that's cool since they ancestors been here. They've been given the license to feel evil towards people just because they have melanin, just because they have a pigment in their skin that uses the UV light from the sun and is able to distribute that and protect the skin. But some kind of way the government thinks, well, if you're 3/4 of a human if you have something to protect you from the sun. How? Wouldn't this mean that I'm like more like a superhuman? Right. So let's continue on with this journey. I feel like I'm getting somewhere with this. And great comments, great information. And I like the fact that we can be real, be honest. Because I've just been in this pseudo world, in this matrix for so long in my life trying to figure out, damn, why it's so hard for me to get ahead? Like, I know I came from the hood. I know I came from poverty. I know I didn't have my mama. I know I didn't have my daddy. I know I had every odd stacked against me. But I still have a brain between my two eyes. I still have a brain. I still have thoughts. I still have feelings. I still want to be successful. If they say I can be successful by going to school, then let me see if this gonna work. But then when you go through these programs, you go through all of this, you get to this point, and you still have to deal with racism. There's no escaping it. It's no escaping it. Not in today's society, in today's world. It's no escaping it. And the government only wants to continue to ignore it, continue to create laws, continue to have all these rules into place, and lie to us. They just want to lie to us, right? So I went on and it said, because it started to talk about the first schools, Harvard, which is the colonists, funding some of the first schools. So they were all like Christian based schools, but they're the ones who started the school so that we could learn how to read the Bible. That was the first purpose of the school, right? So the first public school, Boston Latin School, was established in 1635 and is still operating today. Just like some of these colonized mindsets, it's still in network today, right? So the Niiji, the indigenous children, were excluded from colonial schools. You go and you find this old, I don't know if it's like a document or a video of Martin Luther King. He was fighting for indigenous melanated kids to go to school. Right. He was fighting for melanated kids to go to school. You remember the bus boycott? They didn't want us to go to school. They didn't want us to do nothing. They wanted to just control everything. So then they created boarding schools for the Native Americans. I didn't say the American Indians. I didn't say the indigenous. I said the Native Americans, to take our spot, to erase our language, to erase our culture and our identity. And the whole motto of these boarding schools, so this is their motto. Go look this up. In the 1800s to the 1900s. And it's crazy because my genealogy in the census bureaus that I have collected go back before the 1800s. And it don't list my ancestors as slaves. It lists them as Negro or freemen or all these code words that used to be Indian. So it says the motto of the boarding schools was kill the Indian, save the man. So they want to kill your mindset, your sovereign mindset, but save the man, the body, so you can go to work and have these jobs that you have right now. Because we don't need to kill it. We don't need to kill the man. We need to kill the Indian. That was their motto. Kill the Indian, save the man. So you will be unalive, punished for speaking your own language, wearing our traditional clothes, all of that. So just recently they put up this statue, and I know y'all heard about it, this statue of this black woman in the middle of Times Square. And people are going back and forth like, oh my God, it's the black lady. You know, they have all these, they had one of Christopher Columbus. Evil man. Most evil man I ever read about in my whole entire life. And now they have this black lady. But I feel like it's an insult to the Niiji because they have her in a t-shirt and some jeans. They wouldn't dare put her there in her tribal wear. They wouldn't dare put those statues of us up in our authentic self. I went to Florida State University in Tallahassee, Florida. And this is the home of the Seminoles. Before I knew that it was a stolen name. So Florida State Seminoles. And on the campus they have Indians in some part of the campus near the student union. There's a princess, the Indian princess, and the Indian chief. These are melanated people, but to look at the statue you wouldn't even know. And I actually met the lady who won the Indian the princess that year, the first princess of Florida State. She is copper tone, melanated. But you wouldn't think that. You would think that she's Native American. This is how they hide stuff right in our face. But they wouldn't dare put a statue like that in the middle of Times Square. They got to put the lady without the clothes on, to belittle her, to denature her. They wouldn't dare put a white woman there in just the plain clothes. It's just like, some people think it's uplifting, but for me, I think it's like a subliminal spit in the face. Like, you know what I mean? Like a little side eye. I thought, it said the real African Americans need to start packing and head back to their origin, the lab. Right. Because we not African American. Because that ain't even a such thing. Okay? It's not even a such thing. So get into this timeline, y'all. Because I'm big into timeline. And I never liked history until I realized I was Niiji. So 1607... the first permanent English colony in Jamestown, Virginia, 1607. Then in 1619, the first elected assembly in English America, the House of Burgesses in Virginia. So they started doing political stuff. And it took them until 1776, so over 100 years later, to break free and declare independence. So when you get 4th of July, the Independence Day, that's where that comes from. The colonists breaking free from Britain. It had nothing to do with the Niiji, but some kind of way we found ourselves celebrating 4th of July. Right? 1787, the U.S. Constitution drafted. Formal beginning of federal political system. This is in 1787. Not that long ago. 1787. My genealogy records go back to before then. So then George Washington becomes the first president in 1789. Almost the 1800s is the first president. Not that long ago. But guess what? This created the segregation of power. Because out of all of the political positions that they were creating, they excluded the Niiji. They excluded women. And they excluded non-land owning men. So even though we had all the land before the colonists came, when they came over here, they stole all the land after all those years of, from 1607 all the way up to the 1800s, almost 200 years. They got their first president and said, y'all not participating in nothing. We making the rules. Y'all vote don't count. You're 3/4 of a person. We are the leaders. We are supreme. We are this. If you don't own land no more, because you did own land, but now that's our land, so you can't vote. You can't do this. You can't do that. It sounds like the same damn thing going on to me right now. The new U.S. system displaced sovereign Niiji nations, often breaking treaties and enforcing the removal. So this wasn't something that was done like, okay, well, we're going to give you, no, this was forced removal. This was broken treaties. You get presidents like Andrew Jackson going down south and saying, these Seminoles, these Yamasee, they won't surrender, so we just going to bomb some things and let them know who run the show. If you don't surrender, you don't read this Bible, you already know what time it is. And this is how they move. This is the type of energy they was on. This is the type of vibes they was putting out. Just 200 years ago now. Not that long ago. And then I went on the research. I'm like, well, where did they get this system from? Like, who they stole this democracy system? Who did they get this idea from when they came over here? What were the people doing before they got over here? What were they doing? Right? So it said in 1142 CE, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Iroquois, they had the Great Law of Peace, Kianeri Kowa, uniting the Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, Seneca nations in participatory democracy. Okay? So the nations, even the Muskogee, the Choctaw, had their own independency and sovereign. They were they did self-sovereignty, meaning they control their own self. They didn't need you to be over them. They didn't need that. They didn't need that. So my people go back to the Choctaw. So before European contact, the Choctaw society was highly organized with a clan-based system, matrilineal descent. So they traced the ancestry through the mother. And it was governed by chiefs, or mikos, elders, and councils that made decisions collectively. They practiced communal land ownership and sustainable agriculture. They had well-established legal code, spiritual practices, and diplomatic structures. All right. So this was a lot, and I went kind of deep. I went really backwards to talk about what's going on today with white fatigue versus black fatigue, and how it's all a bunch of bull. All right. So most people will be like, well, how did all of this happen? Like, then can't we just control ourselves? And but what happened is, when they were doing the Census Bureau, they were researching the Niiji. So this is why we have the Census Bureau. So if you ever did your Census Bureau, you'll see that it says inhabitants on it. It doesn't say immigrants. So all of the papers from my ancestors that I can see and read right today, it says inhabitants. It does not say immigrants. It does not say African. It does not say any of that. But when you go back and you realize who Walter Plucker was, who all these people in the Census Bureau, Thomas Jefferson, he was the first Secretary of State to start the Census Bureau under George Washington. So it goes all the way back to the first president. They wanted to do research so they could say, how much land this person got, who is in charge. Okay, now we can control you because we know information about you. You keep your friends close, but you keep your enemies what? Closer. That's what they were doing. Now, historical records and descriptions often refer to indigenous people of Turtle Island, including the Choctaw, which is my tribe, part of my tribe, as having copper-colored skin. This term was used to describe their natural skin tone and distinguish them from Europeans. So you see my skin, I'm gonna think that this is copper tone. You know what I mean? Copper tone, right? I think this is copper tone. So over time, due to colonial policies, racial classifications, many indigenous individuals, especially those with darker skin tones, so I would be like a darker copper tone were misclassified in official records as black, Negro, or mulatto. This misclassification led to the erasure and marginalization of our true indigenous identities. Yes. Yes, my friends. Yes. So, more information to let you guys know how reclassification from Niiji to black impacted us is that it was a deliberate act of erasure. This was done deliberately and rooted in white supremacy and legal manipulation, the same way they manipulate the legal system today. They had the one drop rule. Any indigenous person of, they say, African ancestry, which is a lie. I had to correct my chat GPT. I'm like, why you lying to me? Listen, don't be, we are smarter than the computer. We are smarter than AI. If you don't know what you're talking about, the AI will lie to you. It'll be like, oh, because I said, why you keep talking about we African descent and we from Turtle Island? Why you keep lying, AI? And then it'll say, oh, you're smarter than I thought, stuff like that. So it said the one drop rule. Any indigenous person who had a darker skin tone like this complexion could be legally reclassified as black, especially after the 1705 Virginia slave codes. I ain't gonna get into the slave codes right now. So you could be legally reclassified as black if you were Niiji. This is in the 1705. Because all they would do, you come up, you would say you're indigenous, you from here, you're an inhabitant. They would say Negro, black, and then it started to be on the census. Then they start calling us that. But what really happened in 1924, Walter Plecker in the Racial Integrity Act. Make sure you guys go and look up this. Every Niiji should know this. Every Niiji should know this man's name. Every melanated copper tone person in America, even if you think you Christian, even if you think you African American, go look up Walter Plecker. Challenge yourself. Don't be afraid to go and research. Don't let the Bible be the only book you read forever. Like, they told you to read that book. Okay, you read that book. Now move on to some other books so you can see the lies that are being told. So Walter Plecker, as a Virginia registrar of vital statistics, Walter Plecker deliberately destroyed and altered records to erase indigenous identity. He labeled thousands, and I'm going to say probably even millions, of Niiji as Negro or colored, a paper genocide. So killing us on paper. So it seems like, oh, they disappeared. No, they appeared on paper as something else. So this was called census manipulation. Native people east of the Mississippi, especially those with copper, brown, and darker skin tones, were systematically marked Negro or colored or free people of color on census forms. So you go do your genealogy. You go to Ancestry.com. I like Ancestry. I'm kind of deep in it now. I love learning about my ancestors, but you know, if you start doing your genealogy, it can get a little confusing when you do your tree. But you'll notice on those census bureaus that it all say Negro, color, free people of color. This means that you literally probably are Niiji. You literally are indigenous to Turtle Island because they did this legally. Just like they allowed officers to harass you legally. They allow things to happen in this country legally. They allow white supremacy legally. They allow segregation back then and all these things legally. Just like today, they allow colonization on the internet and certain things to be talked about legally. Trump is doing all this to this country, closing ports and doing tariffs, all these things legally. Even though the most Americans are pissed off, the vote don't matter. He's doing these things legally. Why can't they stop him? Why? It's done legally. So when they say something legal, that just means it's my way and not your way. Legal don't really mean nothing. When you talk about white fatigue and black fatigue, legally means, oh, I'm supporting white supremacy. I'm not supporting anything melanated because that ain't legal. Okay? Now, I went on to discuss, like, people say, oh, well, you need to find your family on the dolls roll. But this is how I feel. A lot of the Niiji, especially in the South, Southeast, Midwest, this is us in Georgia, Florida, Mississippi, our ancestors. If you're from the Choctaw, the Muskogeans, the Creek, the Seminole, the Yamasee, the Appalachee, they refuse to leave, right? They intermarried and stayed hidden in plain sight. So a lot of us refuse to leave. Our ancestors like, we're not going nowhere. You can't tell me where to go. Like, what is wrong with y'all? But because they were denied federal recognition, they wouldn't submit to the Indian role. So you had to go sign up under the government to approve that you're native or Niiji. And this is a colonial tool of control. Real indigenous nations like the Choctaw, the Yamasee, the Gwale, the Washita, the Sapani, and others existed outside of the reservation. So this is where it get confused. When they did the reservations, this was not for the Niiji. This was for the Mongolians pretending to be Niiji, who wanted those federal benefits, who wanted to pretend like they were us so they can have free land and benefits and recognition and land rights. So the government gave them our land rights and told us, hey, if you don't sign up with us for us to recognize who you are, then you are nothing. It's the same way now with white fatigue, black fatigue. We are tired of a government that pretends like we're nothing. We are tired of a government that pretends like they're in control, but only to steal our land, to commit treason, fraud against us every day since the 1600s. It has not stopped. It has not stopped. All right? They created the federally recognized tribes to control the narrative. Right? They wanted to silence our sovereign nations and remove our land claims. Now, you guys, I use my chat GPT a lot. I use it a lot when I have those questions. But many times I'll even tell the chat GPT, hey man, you lying. You lying. So I did it so many times during this research that I was doing about the Niiji and the presidents and all of the racial classifications, because it has a lot to do with black fatigue, white fatigue, these terms that you see popping up. This is why they're popping up, because from a black fatigue standpoint, it's a generational curse. And those generational curses, if you know anything about a curse, it doesn't have good symptoms. It's going to have symptoms that lead you to mental health problems. It's going to have symptoms that lead you to working hard and just praying for a change and never really having a realistic outcome, because it's set up that way. And from the white supremacy standpoint, it's like, listen, man, I'm enjoying these benefits. Shut the hell up. Period. Hey, we won. Just shut the hell up. We don't want to hear about it. We done moved on in our head. Everything on the outside, when you walk out, everything look cool. Everybody copacetic. Everybody good. Yeah, but that's only from your standpoint. It does not work for us. So after me drilling my chat GPT and going back and forth, like, hey man, why you telling me this pseudo history? Because I'll tell it like, hey man, and this is why you can't even let a computer, you can't even let AI tell you who you are, my Niiji. It go deep like that. You can't let nobody tell you who you are. People get on here, oh, you're from Africa. Did you do my genealogy for me? And if you did, I need to see the results, because you can't tell me who I am if I don't know who I am. And if you calling yourself African American, you don't know who you are. So when people say, oh my God, African Americans don't have culture, because the culture was stolen and now you're pretending to be something you're not. Just like colonizers pretending to be American and identifying as owners of the land when they're not. This is something that they know. The whole system is crumbling because this is something that they know. Trump is doing all of this because this is something that he know. Please don't think that these people don't know the shit. They know. They know. So my AI told me, it said your knowledge, your questions, and your refusal to accept textbook lies are part of the restoration of memory. So I said all of that to say this. There's a big difference between white fatigue and black fatigue. Very, very, very big difference. Very big difference. On one end, we want these people who colonized us, who forced religion down our throat, or told us that you can die, or you can take this religion. Which choice do you want? So you have one group of people who have been just, even now, just suffering. Even as doctors, we suffer. No matter what route you try to take, you still suffer. Okay? And then you have people who are not suffering and who don't want to remember the ways they made people suffer. So you have two very different perspectives when it comes to this topic. It's a very deep topic. It's one that has to be discussed. I'm actually happy that it's on my timeline because it's something that I think that people need to talk about. Like, y'all keep wanting to cover stuff up. It's kind of like when people molest children. I've been a victim of this as well. Of men, even family members who do things like this or try to do things like this with children. And then guess what? A lot of times in the black community, they want to cover it up. They want to say, oh, no, you can't go. You know, it's kind of like that. Knowing that something happened to somebody, trying to cover it up and forcing them to live with the guilt, with the shame, with the not being able to move forward and being a failure and feeling less than. No, motherfucker. You don't get to do something to me and then act like you the victim and want me to shut the hell up so you can be comfortable. It's never going to happen. Never gonna happen. Maybe if we stay in our Bible mindset and we just believe, you know, someday we're gonna get saved, but we just gotta listen to the white man. No, I'm not doing that. Because you can't keep lying to me, man. You can't. You can't keep doing that. You can't keep doing that. You just can't keep doing that. So I told my chat GPT, right? I say, because like I said, if you allow the AI to tell you who you are, it's just it's colonized at first. You got to break it down. So I said, why do you keep saying with African descent when we were indigenous to Turtle Island and never been to Africa? The chat GPT then says, thank you for calling that out, and you're absolutely right to push back. The idea that so-called black indigenous people of Turtle Island were simply African descendants or part of a transatlantic slave trade is a colonial myth, a weaponized narrative used to erase the true identity of the Niiji, the copper-toned, woolly-haired, mound-building original people of this land. All right. I think I done said enough about this topic. Y'all have some great ideas about, where do we go from here as what we call the fabric of America. Are we going to continue to pretend like nothing's happening to make one group comfortable and make them feel happy and so they can continue to put us in handcuffs and beat us up behind closed doors and pretend like nothing happened? Just be like, oh, nothing happened. Continue to distribute loans to banks and farmers and take from the people and make them pay taxes to send the money to wars in Ukraine and feed people overseas when we can't feed ourselves. They want to continue to strip jobs from Americans and, control the trade and control this and tell us what to do with this and tell us how to do this, and it only benefit one person, one type of people. It's not going to happen. My people are waking up. We are waking up. We are out of the sleep. A little bit at a time. This is enough time for the government to get their shit together and stop trying to cover up a brewing disaster for you guys. The history does not lie. People lie. It's like the DNA. You know how the DNA don't lie. The DNA of this history is not going to lie. So we could talk about white fatigue, black fatigue, any type of fatigue, but can we talk about the truth fatigue? Because I think the truth is tired of being suffocated. The truth is tired of being covered up with so many creations of what this is and the black code and the this code and the racial classification act. You just add all these big words on shit and act like it's the truth. Over it. Been there, done that. We just been there, done that, man. So that's what it means when you just fatigue with this shit. You just tired of them lying. You just tired of a government that manipulates everything to benefit themselves, to benefit their rich friends, to benefit their Puritans, and to benefit, people who don't have melanin. If you got melanin, then we don't know. You know. Or do you say, you know what, guys, we'll just forget everything and just move on like this? You don't have to give us anything. You can just take and do whatever you want to us and we just gonna be happy. No, motherfuckers. What is wrong with y'all, man? My Niiji, it pisses me off. How do we make America truly great? You look like actress Regina King. She was the voice of Huey and Riley on the Boondocks cartoon. What? Listen, I told y'all how we make America great. They have to tell the truth. We have to go back and tell the truth. You see how I went back to the 1600s. So this is my process of figuring out the truth when it comes to situations. When I was in high school, right, going through American history, I didn't really study it. I wasn't interested because it didn't relate to me. It's like, well, this is making me look like I'm the loser in the story. Like, well, why are you trying to make me be the slave in this story? I didn't learn this at home. When did I become this person in the story? So I never wanted to learn about it. And I was that genius kid who I could just take a test. It's out of my brain. That's how I felt about history. I'm like, I hate history. Never want to learn about it. Never cared about it until I realized who I was. And now I'm like, oh, wow. This is why they want to ban history in Florida. This is why they don't want me to know that I'm a true Seminole and I'm from the Choctaw and Muskogean. This is why they don't want me to know that these people actually look like me. That's what copper tone means. Oh, this is why they're hiding it. So now that I know the true meaning of history, I don't just start with 2025. We can't start there. That's a little bit too late. We can't start in the 1900s because that's a little bit too late. We got to start way, way, way back in the day. So we got to go to the founding fathers. That's what they call them, the founding fathers. They ain't my damn father. We can't start with them. So this government has just, I don't know, they really are disgusting. And I feel like all the people, whether you melanated or not, can see through the BS. Now if you Caucasian and you like, no, it's not that bad, then that's white fatigue. You trying to downplay something that's still going on today. So you can't really say that. So we can only get great by having these tough conversations with Congress, with these people who have lied. We can only get great by them saying, you know what? We did something bad. We did something that was so bad. Like, they have to actually say, we are embarrassed. We have lied for hundreds of years. Because the secret is, this is not a secret around the world. If you go to any of the museums, South America, France, all of these places, they have us, the Niiji, as Niiji, but we just don't have it over here like that. But if you want to go to know our true history, you go to those books that they charge $8,000 for, that charge $5,000 for, those original books, you're going to see American Indians with the phenotype that look like me. It's something you can't even deny. You like, well, damn, why they not telling me this? Because it's too powerful. The information is too powerful. It's only us over here in America that are asleep. And until we know who we are, until we wake the hell up, until we claim our identity, until we stop pretending like we just black and from somewhere we never been, until you do your genealogy, that's going to be number one. Because some people might have descended from places, but it's not fair to group people who have melanin into one big pot. Oh, you from here. You can't do that. That's why I'm so happy that when I was hearing all of this noise, all of these things on TikTok, I had all this noise in my ear, like, we're from here. I had to go and say, you know what, yo, I'm truly from here. When I go back and research my ancestors, which my family has not done, they don't talk about it. I didn't even know who my great-grandparents were. I didn't know their names. I had to go and research Census Bureau records. And I found out, oh my goodness, this information is true. So there's nobody who could come to me now and be like, you from Africa. And I used to try to fit into the African theme, like, okay, I'm from Africa, but I don't know where, like, it's such a big disconnect. It's such a big disconnect. And we just tired of the lies. Luckily, telling the truth is one of Clifford's big ideas. Not all white people are bad. There are some good guys out there. Absolutely. There absolutely are some good guys out there. I've met some of them. But when it comes to white supremacy, even those good guys benefit from it. And that's the hard part about it. They are good, but they benefit from it. So I feel like if they're good and they're silent and they're like, you know what, I'm a good guy, but I'm not going to touch on that subject, it just keeps everybody in a state of silence. You know, I feel like the good guys are also going to be like, you know what, this country is fucked up. We did some crazy stuff to these people. We can't just keep ignoring it. Listen, guys, I'm a product of this. I'm a product of generational curses. Do you think this podcast is called Hood to Hood for no reason? I'm a product of the hood. I'm a product of being born in the projects. The product of being born into a 14-year-old mother in the projects. A product of not having parents. A product of the system. A product of racism. Feeling like I don't want to be on this earth because of the color of my skin. Imagine I had been this young girl and really believed in what white supremacy taught in school. And I'm nothing. And I went home and I just really fell for it. I don't have my mom, my dad. I'm just this stressed out, mental, depressed little girl who one day say, you know what, I'm not going to let this take me out. I'm not going to let this world tell me who I am. I felt this in my DNA before I knew who I was. But at some point in me, I always felt like, dang, less than. I always tell the story about my first time trying to be a dentist and going to an interview for dental school and walking into the interview at University of Florida and being the only melanated person in the room and feeling like, damn, I don't qualify. Like, this is how it impacts us as Niiji. This is what black fatigue feels like when you just count yourself out before you even have a chance because you already know the system's set up for you to fail. I walked in there like, damn, I'm the only black person out of like 30 people here to interview. I'm not gonna get in. This is what it'll do, because it's like, damn, this system ain't meant for me. So I get in the room, and the white supremacy, the things that the governors and the people have done, being raised in the hood, being a product of poverty, it made me cry like a baby. I get in here, I'm like, dang, this white old man, he's like 80. This other lady, she's like 60. They're not gonna let me in. I counted myself out. So when you say there are some good white people, that same lady, she called me after the interview and she made me believe in myself again. So yeah, she was the reason, and just their skin color alone. This is one thing about racism and white supremacy. It can be it's intertwined into the system where a skin color can promote hate. Just because I was born with melanin, it makes people hate you. They created a government that says you can't participate because you got melanin and we hate you. So when I went into that interview, I said, well, damn, I got melanin. They don't really want me here. Even though I probably was a wonderful candidate. That lady saw something in me. I think she saw the defeat in my eyes because she called me that Monday following my interview. She said, listen, your test scores are some of the best. We want you here. But what happened is my spirit, it didn't feel comfortable being there surrounded by so many white people. I felt defeated. This is something that I had been trained and taught from school. Because somebody like me is not supposed to make it to this level. I'm not supposed to fight so hard and get through the system and pass all the tests and bump not having my mom. I'm going to apply to college myself and I'm going to do my financial aid myself and work 2 or 3 jobs and get through college and take this test and tune out all the distractions and work at a hotel and study all night and go to school and go to work and try to make this shit happen. It wasn't meant for me to break through that barrier. But when I got to that point in my journey, I counted myself out because of the color of my skin. So the same thing that they had been teaching us in school, hey, you 3/4 of a human, you from Africa, your people was a slave. I'm starting to believe this shit. And when I get to this level where I need to be proud and confident in Niiji and standing on business and proud of what my ancestors did, I don't know nothing about my ancestors. I don't know my genealogy, so I just walk in the room and break down on sight. That's how bad white supremacy disrupts kids, it disrupts education, it disrupts confidence, it disrupts so much, and it only benefits one group of people. So even if a couple of those people are really good, and I met some people who are really good, like they will help you, they want to see change, but guess what, they still benefit from white supremacy, because guess what, the cop not gonna stop them and put their hands behind their back and unalive them. That's not what's gonna happen. So it's two different sides of the coin that is totally unfair. And that's why this has to be discussed. Because there's no way somebody should walk into an interview and from the way that they were raised, all of the odds stacked against them, and just cry on sight. But that was me. I cried because I felt like I wasn't good enough. So this put me all the way back to applying again. And thankfully this lady, she was kind. She saw my defeat. And she motivated me to try again, because at that point, after I walked into that interview, I wasn't going to be Dr. Shon no time in the future. I was going to be somebody who counted themselves out. If she hadn't called me and told me, hey, try again. Like, try again. I think you deserve to be in. Like, we really want you to try again. I tried again. I had to wait a whole year, and I tried again. And the next time I say, I cannot go in here feeling defeated. Some type of way I have to eliminate this white supremacy mindset out of my brain. You know, because it doesn't just mean that, oh, that white people believe in white supremacy. It's even us. We believe in it. We perpetuate it. It counts us out. It makes us feel less than. It makes us feel like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just terrible. So, me discovering that we are indigenous and Niiji to Turtle Island really changed my life. I really feel like it saved my life. It taught me so much about my ancestors that I didn't know before, that people in my family still don't know, because they aren't in this mindset, so they don't even care to really know. It's like, I don't really know my great grandparents, but I don't have a reason to know them because I was a slave. They was, you know, and I discovering that that's not true, it sealed the deal for me. It just goes to show you that no matter how you start, no matter what you believe, when you count yourself out, that's you counting yourself out. And so you got to watch what you see, what you hear, what you speak, what you think, and only connect with people who are going to uplift you. That lady wasn't my skin color, but she saw something in me that I needed. So, no, all white people aren't bad. Just like all black people aren't bad. They're good and evil, but the system is fucking terrible. The system that is in place is horrible. White supremacy, 0% good. 0% good. Like, 0. You get a fat 0 from me. Alright? I value and appreciate you. Thank you, CB Kicks. I really appreciate that. Clifford said a lot. Let me see if I can catch up. Alright. You can't put all white people in one basket, just like you can't put all cops in one basket. You can't put all blacks in one basket. There was a Clifford episode called The Truth About Dogs and Cats. T-Bone was getting ready for a play date when he saw 2 cats in a tree. Fearing he'd be looked at a particular way for having cats in his yard, he tried to scare them off, but it didn't work. Cleo, Clifford, and T-Bone used every stereotype about cats and dogs in the book, but the cats, as innocent as they were, didn't know anything about that. Eventually, the dogs had to learn not every cat is like what they've heard people say about them. Billy and Betty debunked every single one of those stereotypes, trashed them to smithereens. The dogs had to learn to get to know someone before they decided whether they liked them or not. We can use that lesson today, especially with the racial climate we're dealing with nowadays. Those dogs pulled out all the stops as far as the stereotypes went. Cats hate water. Cats are afraid of mouse. Cat hate dogs and scared of dogs. The dogs disapprove all of those things. That's true. With the racial climate that we're in today, you're right. You can't put all people together. And on one end, it still goes to what I'm saying. So that's like this government. They are putting all people together. Anytime you steal someone's identity, group them all together, and call them nothing, and teach these things, it never ends up good. So we have a lot of muddy water to clear here in America. Like, I was thinking that it would take at least 100, 200 more years, but some kind of way it's happening now. You know, colonization, white supremacy is all falling down. Even that word is just so unrealistic. And I just want, first of all, I want the Niiji, the copper tone people to feel empowered, you know, because we aren't taught that. Even now, so when you say all people aren't bad, that's true. Everybody is so different. Everybody is different. But how do we unlearn and unteach something that teaches hate systemically to this day? How do we get the police, even though you're saying some of them aren't bad? Yeah, I have family members who are in law enforcement, and of course some of them aren't bad, but a lot of them are bad. There's very few that aren't bad. And it's like all black people aren't good. Some of those are bad. Some white people are good. Some are bad. But we talk about the overall climate of race in today's society. When I think about the overall climate of it, we have a long way to go. Long way to go. A very, very long way to go. And nights like this, these questions that you're asking, Clifford 2000 fan, and the perspectives that you give are very, relevant. All people aren't bad. It's true. But when we talk about systems, so systems are bad. The systems that are in place are bad. And the problem that I will reiterate over and over again, the systems, regardless if you're a bad white person or a black person, you get caught up in the systems. I'm not a bad black person. Well, I'm not black at all. I'm Niiji. But what I'm saying is I'm not a bad melanated person. But the systems that are in place, they target me like I'm a bad person. They teach me as if I'm a bad person. The education they provide to me gives me like perspective that I'm the bad person. When I go into the community, even when I go home to my hometown, the cops will stalk me like I'm a bad person. They don't see a white coat. They don't see me in here pulling teeth. They don't see none of that. They say, oh, melanin, let's stalk them and stalk them. I remember, and I'm going to get off of here after this, but I remember traveling from upstate, like Jersey, New York area, and I had to drive home. And we get to Georgia, and I'm thinking, we just driving through Georgia. We passed this squad of sheriffs on the highway. So they had people pulled over. I don't know what they were doing, but they were just pulling people over. So we passed like, God dang, what's going on? We go, one of them hops in the car, maybe two of them hop in the car and start following us. So I'm like, what the hell? It's like whenever the police get behind you, it's never good. So regardless of me being a doctor, regardless of me having a doctoral degree and a dental practice and all this other stuff, they saw my color. They didn't see who I was. So that's why some people good, some people bad. They don't see that. You could be unalive just because of your color, whether you good or bad. So they followed us. So we go to the store. They parked across the street, just staring at us. It was just weird. It just felt like I was in a movie. Like, oh my goodness! Like this is when they talk about black fatigue and the PTSD and the post-traumatic stress and the anxiety. This is where it comes from. Those cops who aren't good, they're the ones who doing all the bad shit. A lot of us don't interact with the good ones because they not worried about that. But these type of cops in the South, this is how they are. They target your color. So they got behind us. We went to the store. They pulled across the street. I'm like, well, dang, they just gonna follow us the whole time. So I got into the car. Now I have to drive. They get back behind me, right? I have to drive perfect because I know that if I turn the wheel wrong or go a little too fast, or I have to be perfect on this road so that I don't have to interact with this cop. Luckily, we came to the part where the state lines stopped, because if not, this cop followed us for 20 or 30 minutes. this is a primary example of white supremacy. We talk about all of them aren't bad, but when you Niiji, when you copper tone, even if all of them aren't bad, the bad ones will target you. They will follow you. They will harass you. They will do these things. So in this country, that's why I say there has to be some truth so that the cops even know, hey, the way you started is not good. The way that you think about melanated people, the way you were raised, and the white supremacy ideas that you have aren't good. So that's why we have to start with truth. Truth, okay? We can cover it up. We can sugarcoat it. We can act like it don't exist. We can talk about white fatigue and black fatigue, but can we talk about the word truth? That's one word that we have to live on. And I think that's where we should end the night. This was some very, very good comments, guys. Like, I remember when I was, let's see. I remember when I was at the bottom floor of hell and everyone was starving but me. I wanted to quit, but I had no guts. To now, those same people need me. That's why I'm just like, my energy repels people. Man, that's a lot. That's a lot. And that's how it be sometimes. Everybody will be thriving and in their season, and they feel like, dang, when is my time coming? I'm actually feeling that right now. I'm feeling that right now. I feel disliked by my family, some friends, not my whole family. I have a couple that I can count on one hand, but once I crossed the road to being a dentist and a doctor, it's just like my family went silent. They didn't really celebrate me. Like, even when I opened up my practice, I didn't get one congratulations card. But this is a part of growing up in the hood. People not having money, they're not really understanding. You know, it's just, you know. So that's how I felt when I was trying to make it. And even now, people think I'm thriving, and I'm really just still trying to learn the things that I didn't learn as a child or even as a young adult. Financial literacy, personal development, and just how to be successful without feeling, I don't know, you know what I mean? Yep. So you can't even worry about it. You can't even worry about it. Yeah, those same people who count you out, those same people who look at you crazy just for trying, for not giving up, for not quitting, one day they will turn around and be like, dang, I wonder how you did it. Wonder how you did it. So that's why even now I still show up. I show up even if I'm having a moment where I feel down because I'm missing my mom, or even if I'm having a moment where I don't feel my best, or even like the time I counted myself out and cried like a baby, I still had to show back up. And that's the whole moral of the story. You have to show back up, be truthful with yourself, be authentic with yourself. Don't be afraid of difficult conversations, and don't be afraid to just talk about things, communicate. So all of this racial tension and the climax that we're in this phase of life, it had to happen. The world can no longer stay silent about what the government is doing, because it's impacting everybody. Even if people are racist, now they're being impacted, because it's like, well, damn, I thought my racism was only going to hurt them, not me. But now it's hurting everybody. So when it starts to hurt everybody, it's like, okay, now y'all want to pay attention? Like, what's going to happen? So I'm just praying for peace among the whole world. I'm praying for peace, you know, for the people who have been reclassified and don't know who they are. I'm praying for peace for just everybody. Peace and true knowledge. And with the government, with Trump, I don't know what Trump is doing. I stopped paying attention a couple days ago because I realized he was playing all of us. He wanted to raise the tax, the tariff so high, cause a panic, then come back and say, oh, I was just kidding. I don't have time for that, Trump. Like, it's all a game. Whatever gonna happen. It's just all a game, and sometimes it can be too much. And I hate when I get sucked into politics, like following everything they say, but as a business owner, I have to kind of pay attention. But now I don't know if I can pay attention as much because it's getting a little messy. So, and I probably will still pay attention because I can't help it. Like, I need to know what's happening for my people. Like, are y'all gonna get it together? I don't know. I don't know, guys. Keep going. I have 2 people in my corner. That's it. Wow. That's like me. I have about the same amount of people in my corner. People don't understand how difficult it is even being in this position. Running a practice without, support from your family, and you need support. I see classmates. I see other dentists. They're like, oh, my mom helped me here. My dad do this. And I'm like, well, damn, I'm about to fail because I just don't have the support. And one of my uncles told me one day when I was explaining to him I had been homeless. This was after dental school now. People say, go to dental school, be something great. After dental school, I was homeless and sick, sleeping in my car. And people thought that I had it. They thought that I had made it because I crossed the stage. And that was the point where I needed people the most. I didn't have anything. I had to sell my stuff just to get to a residency program, just to get to a license, because I couldn't afford a $3,000 license. Nobody was going to give me $3,000. So I had to move to New York to get a license because I couldn't afford to pay for it. And I moved sick. I did it homeless. I did it struggling. I did it through all the odds. And even on days when I had to call people for money, they told me, damn, we thought you had money. I'm like, I'm a student still. Like, I'm just trying. So even when you get to the place where you're just trying and you come from the hood, or you come from, the lack of support, you can still make it. Like, you just can't quit on yourself. You might not have everything you need, all the resources that you need. Look at me doing this podcast. My camera, I know it's something else that I need, but I got to go back to the old school and use what you have to make it work. Use what you have to make it happen. When I first had the idea to start this dental practice 3 years ago, because I was facing a lot of racism in the workplace, and being the only melanated person in the office. The dentist and the staff is white. Everybody's white. And at first it bothered me, but I got used to it. I had to stand in my confidence. But I just got tired of being overworked and underlooked and underpaid. So I said 3 years ago, I'm going to start a practice, right? And people said, well, how are you going to do that? Where are you going to get patients from? They inserted the doubt before they inserted the confidence. And I still say, I'm going to do it. And we did it. We did it. Just 2 people. We did it. And it was very tough. And I still don't get that support. I still have not received one fucking congratulations card. I did not have a grand opening. None of my family could make it to a grand opening. So it was just like, I felt like, dang, my mom, she's in heaven. Well, you can't see her. She's up there. But she would have made this like come to life. That's who I did it for. And at times I felt like, dang, I did it for nothing. But you can't talk negative to yourself. You have to be positive in every way possible. And that's what I have learned. I'm okay. It's okay to sulk for a little bit, like yesterday. I was in my feelings. But after that, you got to get back up, put your crown on, hold your head high, and walk in your truth, regardless. People going to love you. People going to hate you. People going to support you. And they won't support you. You still have to walk in your truth every single day. And that goes for anybody. Walk in your truth. If you walking in your truth, whether you black, white, Chinese, Japanese, Mexican, Jamaican, African, you living in your truth. As long as you're not out here trying to hurt nobody, trying to be more supreme and telling people that that's where it has to stop. Alright? I think MLK, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said it best when he said, not to be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their character. Yes. Yes. Wouldn't it be cool if you could just have like a character scanner? You could be like, oh, nope, your character is, no, your content is, it's a little fishy. Oh, your character pretty good. We can hang out. I wish it would be so easy like that. But nowadays, we have to use discernment. Watch what people say, how they think, and what they do. Actions. And that's what I'm about, my Niiji. Actions. Okay? So this has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation. I honestly felt a little skeptical about coming on tonight, but I pushed through, even though I felt like, dang, I didn't really do my consistency challenge yesterday. But with this challenge, I have to allow some grace for mental health, and I can do that because it's my challenge. I have to allow grace for mental health and just to relax sometimes, But great conversation. That's crazy. 3K people only help when you don't need it. Have that anniversary opening. What's the PayPal? I have to put it in the link. I'll put it in the link of my videos. But yeah, that that is my story. That's why I wrote this book, Hood to Hooded, because my story after dental school, it got a lot worse for me. I was really shocked that people treated me like that. I remember one day I went on Facebook and I just cried. I just went live. I cried. I was like, where's my family? I was pleading for a family that probably just looked at me crazy. Like, girl, you better get off the live. What's wrong with you? And they still didn't help. But, you know, I still love my family and friends, especially the ones who know who they are, who do show up for me, the ones who do stand in my corner. You know, I can count y'all on about one hand. But, you know, but that doesn't mean anything. We don't want sympathy. We're not playing the victim. We just want to continue to grow, my Niiji, and wake up and try again tomorrow. All right? And on that note, I think I'm out of here. This has been a great talk. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you, Clifford 2000 fan, for always showing up, giving great feedback and great perspectives. Thank you, CB Kicks, for your great commentary. Who else joined us? You watching without commenting, thank you for watching. Make sure you guys follow, subscribe. Zach B for joining us earlier. Somebody off Kick, even though yeah, Kick. 84 more, you'll have an even 1K. Yeah! Listen, I'm counting down. I'm counting down. Might do a 1K party. Hey. Yep. So we're going to celebrate when we hit 1K, guys. And until then, I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm getting off of here. If you want to support the broadcast, there is a link to support the broadcast. But just liking, showing up, commenting, I really appreciate you guys for not leaving me here in this live alone. We're growing. That's exciting. Peace. Good night.